Welcome to the game. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Nikco Riesgo. Nikco, how are you?
Russ Cohen, my man.
And Mike Augello. Mike, how are you?
Howdy.
So let's talk a little baseball. We're back for this season. Uh, I just watched the Mets doubleheader today. It was agonizing. But they won the second game. Pete Alonso helped with a home run, so they're 1-5 on the season. I don't have high hopes for this season. Matter of fact, I really think that management did the fans a disservice by not really being honest with them and saying that, hey, we're kind of rebuilding for a couple of years and just take the ride with us. Instead, they're like, oh, well, we've spent all our money for now. We're going to be really in on it next year, but we think we're competitive. They're not competitive. I think everybody can see they're not competitive. And so, it's all going to ride next year and see what David Stearns can do. And so, Nikco, I don't know what your thoughts are about the Mets, but my thoughts are maybe 77 wins at most, maybe.
Under that, okay.
Yeah.
I think under 62 wins because it's somewhere
Get out of here.
over
Jesus.
100 losses. Over 100 losses this year. You can see it clear as day. The good thing is that they did win the doubleheader today. And they play hard. They're going to play hard. They're going to have a very, very challenging year. It's good to see them with some smiles on their faces today, but it's going to be a very, very, very long road this year.
Yeah. I mean, both games went to extra innings, Mike. I mean, that's not good.
I'm surprised Nikco didn't predict them to beat the 62 Mets record of
0-9.
just
you mean of the whole season?
Of the whole season.
Yeah.
No,
and actually, the Met game went to the ninth inning. They won in the bottom ninth. So only one went to extra innings, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who has a passing knowledge of baseball knew that this team was incomplete, knew that they didn't really have a rotation. And when they go out and sign Luis Severino, who, by some miracle, if he stays healthy for 2 weeks, they picked up every ex-Yankee that they could find, and Bader, and I mean it's really just sort of a pieced together roster. And the thing that's going to hang over their heads for most of the year is the contract status of Alonso. And I think Russ, we've talked about it. We think he's probably going to get traded before July 31st. So what's the point?
Yeah, the point is it's another season. I still enjoy baseball. I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to agonize a little bit with it too, no question. All right. So, Nikco, now out by you, the Oakland Athletics are leaving after this year. Fans pretty much showed up for the first game just to kind of show their dissatisfaction outside the stadium. And now, you'll get a few passing fans here and there, but they're going to play in Sacramento in a non-Major League Baseball stadium. And this is a horrible decision because Vegas isn't going to be ready till 2028. In what world? Like, why should it take this long?
They're building I guess, $1 billion empire out there. And if I were them, I would actually transfer the whole location to Summerlin, right there where their AAA team is, and share the field there with them, and already start making that transfer into the Vegas marketplace, and already brand themselves the Vegas A's, if that's what they want to call themselves. The whole ideal of Sacramento and that whole ballpark out there, I just don't see any opportunities there and any advantage there for the A's.
Mike, this is a ballpark that has 10,624 fixed seats, and then it has lawn seats. I mean, are people going to really do the lawn seats for major league games? I get it for spring training. You don't care. You go for 5 innings. I'm not paying major league prices to sit on a lawn.
Well, I mean, as soon as I heard this idea, obviously since we both covered the NHL, I was thinking mullet arena for MLB. It's just that's how ridiculous this is. Or if you remember the whole Montreal Expos playing in Puerto Rico, which was, I think, that was an embarrassment to the league. choose where you're going to go and move the team or whatever. I mean, I actually agree. I think Nico's idea is actually good. I mean, if you're going to, you're eventually going to move to Vegas and it's
Hmm.
3 years, then why don't you move to some place close to Vegas or,
Right.
where their AAA team is? Don't string, the fan base in Oakland or in Northern California along for 3 more years, sort of, tantalizing them. I mean, I think right now at this point, they would rather be rid of the A's because it's an embarrassment of a franchise that's not
Yeah.
spending any money on players. And this is just a joke, but MLB, Rob Manfred is allowing this to go on. And of course, he's an embarrassment. So why should this not be the same?
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. So, all right, last year the A's for opening day had 10,276 people. There were 10,000 in the Sutter Park for opening day, but their average attendance is 5,177. So it's exactly like Mullet Arena. I mean, they're going to make no money for 3 years. And also, that means the opponents, Nico, who go there to get the gate are going to make no money. Nico, you still there? Yeah.
Yeah, over here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So I mean, nobody's going to make any money, on the stadium, including the teams that might actually be draws like the Yankees and things like that when they come in.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I
Yankees
mean,
obviously are going to be a big draw. I mean, a huge draw. Everybody a big draw in Vegas.
Not in Vegas, no. In this Sacramento, where there's only going to
I don't
be
think they're
10.
going to do that. I don't think they're going to go there. Like I said, I think they're going to rethink this. I think they're going to hear this show. They're going to make the smart idea and head over there right away. Summerlin's got a brand new stadium there. It's their AAA. It's just a
Yeah, I
few,
get it, but they just
minutes
signed this
away.
deal. This is done.
yeah,
This
They
it's
is
haven't
a
locked.
signed it
done
yet. I
deal.
don't know.
It's
I
it's
don't know.
locked for it's locked for 3 years. It's asinine. But here's the thing. You would think that Major League Baseball would. I mean, okay, I'm sure Sacramento has an international airport or a large airport, but you're going to have teams flying. If it doesn't, you're going to have teams flying into Oakland and busing to Sacramento. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's really it's really a inconvenience for a lot of these teams. And we know after COVID, that with the situation with Toronto, they played in Buffalo. That's that's a 20,000 seat, almost 20,000 seat stadium. This is half the size. This is the size of that stadium we went to in the summer in Chicago, the single
Yes.
A ballpark. And that's an embarrassment to this league to have a major league team in a non-COVID situation playing there.
Yeah. But all right. So we move on. So Mike, the New York Yankees start off hot. They're 6-1. I still like the Orioles to be the best team in that division, but the Yankees
Mhm.
are getting off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles are the preseason favorite. I mean, especially after the Cole injury, and that obviously is going to be a factor. I mean, it's beyond impressive for them to start off the season 4-0 over the hated Houston Cheaters, especially in the way that they won those games, and especially the way Juan Soto looked in. I think 3 of the 4 games he had the game-winning RBI. He played well defensively, which has never been his reputation, and he's just a fantastic eye at the plate, and has the power that we've grown used to. And they did it. They've gone 6-1 with Judge starting off slowly because he was injured for the latter half of spring training and really didn't get going until the last game. So I mean, the concern here is you've got a rotation where your number one starter is Carlos Rodon. On Nestor Cortez hasn't pitched well in both of his games. They won the one coming back. I mean,
Yeah, I'm afraid
the
Nestor is a flash in the pan. I don't think
well,
he's very good.
he's not a flash in the pan because he's been good for a couple years, but he's coming off an arm injury, and he was never a fireballer. He always relied on guile, so it
Yeah.
may take him a little while to get back. The one encouraging thing here is deeper in the rotation, Luis Heel, who is coming off of Tommy John surgery. He was throwing 99 with regularity in his start. And if they can get decent starts out of him, and they expect to, and knock on wood, expect to get Cole back by, June, then they're in pretty good shape. But I
Well, I
do
am going to
agree with
argue.
you.
Hold on, I am arguing Cortez is a flash in the pan because in 22 he was 12-4. Then
Mhm.
last year he only pitched in 12 games. He was 5-2, and now this year he's starting off 0-1. I think 2022 was it for him. I don't think he's a good pitcher.
Well, I mean, I know that he had a good year before 22, but I mean, I'm not saying he's a top of the rotation starter. I'm just saying he had the injury. I think they still think that he can be a middle of the rotation starter. But I mean, right now you're talking, Clark Schmidt and Luis Heel, and you're asking a lot of those guys. So
Yeah.
they're really going to obviously need Cole to come back at some point. And, if he doesn't, then they're in a whole different, realm of trouble because, then, they really don't have a good rotation, and that they'd probably have to wait until July to get a starter at the deadline. I mean, if he does come back, then they're really in great shape.
Nico, what's your thoughts about the Yankees?
The Yankees have a great start. They have a great opportunity with Soto. I just don't think it's going to last the whole year. I think it's just a facade. It's going to crumble down almost like it did last year through the dog days. Just don't have enough to sustain it. We'll see what happens when Cole comes back and when DJ LeMahieu comes back. But the team to beat out there is the Cleveland Indians. If you really open your eyes
The
here,
Guardians? You mean the Guardians?
absolutely. I'm sorry. Thank you, Russ. I'm just never going to
Oh,
be able to get that in my
Yeah.
mindset.
So why them? I mean, I like Tanner Beebe. I like Jimenez, who used to be on the Mets, but I still don't think the Guardians are that good.
Well, they've got some new energy. Frank Kona is a legend, and he has
Mm-hmm.
left a legacy there in the clubhouse that can transfer over greatness into that clubhouse with a new young vitality that I think has fed upon this new clubhouse. And some of the coaches, third base coach Rugi Odor, Sandy Alomar, some of the greatest coaches in the world at first and third base, just motivating these players inning after inning.
Which
And
Alomar
going to
is
be
that?
infectious.
That's the one who used to be a catcher, right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
it's
Yeah,
not
yes.
the
he's
it's
good.
not
He's
the
smart.
it's not the one who's spit in the umpire's face.
Right.
But yeah, they're not even the best team in that division. I mean, Minnesota is the best team in that division, and they're not even that good. I mean, that's a division up for grabs because they're all mediocre. But yeah, I mean, I could pick four teams in the American League that are better than the Guardians. I mean, I think they very easily could win that division because like I said, it's wide open. But
Yeah.
they're not a complete team. They need Bieber to pitch at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Beebe had a really good year last year, but I don't know.
He pitched good the other day. He had 9
Mhm.
strikeouts.
Right.
So we'll see. Any thoughts on the Angels? Like, I thought they would be better this year. They got off to a good start. It seems like with the threat of Mike Trout leaving, they kind of lit a fire under them, and they got a few more players. I feel like they're going to be better this year.
Well, they've got the three-headed monster lefties on the mounds, and they got Detmers there, Anderson, and Sandoval back. Now, if those
Right.
three can work their magic, they're going to be competitive now. Are they going to be in the playoffs? No, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. Um, and they're going to have a tough time even beating the Seattle Mariners and the Astros again, even in their division there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was not impressed with their. I mean, obviously, after losing Otani, there's not much you could really do with. He said, he was going to go to, Toronto or the Dodgers. I don't think there was any way that Artie Moreno was going to spend $70 million, and he
No.
wants to win. I just don't know that this is a franchise that has spent so much bad money Anthony Rendon. I mean, some of the bad contracts that they've over the years, and some of them, players got hurt, and you can't really help with injuries. They're just a very incomplete team. I think they're going to try to bring some young guys up, and see what they can do. But they're not even in the same area as Houston and Seattle. Those two teams are going to go 1-2 in that division.
So an odd thing, the Texas Rangers, handed out their rings, and Jacob deGrom got one. He didn't do much for it. It's not his fault. He would have, I think, if he had been healthy. But there is talk about him.
He collected checks.
Yeah. There is talk about him coming back this year. And I don't know.
Wow.
Nico, what's your thoughts? I mean, it's nice. Look, I mean, he was a champion on the Mets as far as just a great pitcher. So it's nice to see him get rewarded. I don't begrudge the guy, but I just think it's so odd that he's going to have his World Series ring. It's the opposite of Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan got his World Series ring with the Mets, and then he pitched all those years with Houston and Texas and didn't win anything, and now deGrom did the opposite.
That is an odd story. And you know what? If he hung him up and never played again, he's had a great career in the game, and he's got a great future around the game. What a great ball player he is, and what a great leader he is. I would love to see him come back. The Rangers need him come back if they even have a chance to go back to back.
Well, Scherzer too, right? Scherzer's got to come back.
Yeah, they both got to come back. They're going to go for back to back. They're going to be healthy at the end of the year. They're going to make a good run for it. And like I said, they could possibly do it. We could see it with our own eyes.
So, interesting stat that I saw pop up. And Scherzer's in this. So most pitching seasons with 200 or more strikeouts. I know Seaver's in this, but it's funny because he's fourth on the list with 10. On the 11th year, he had like 198 or 197. But Ryan had 15, Randy Johnson had 13, Clemens 12, Seaver 10. Then you got Scherzer, Verlander, Pedro, and Gibson at 9, Burt Bly 11, Steve Carlton, Gaylord Perry at 8. So all of them are Hall of Famers. Nowadays, I don't know if we'll get anybody that even gets 8.
Yeah, and now was this a list of was this a list of just modern day? Because I thought
yes.
Guys like Walter Johnson,
just modern day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean it's tough to imagine anybody that not only because of longevity, but also because the role of the starter has changed so much to the point that they're going 4 2/3 or 4 1/3. It's you get to 100 pitches, you get to third time through the order, and they're out. So the role of the starter has changed, and I just don't know how many pitchers are going to get even 200 strikeouts a year for a couple years in a row, let alone 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever.
Yeah, these weren't consecutive. Deceiver
no, I know.
was consecutive. Yeah, I was just bringing that up because he could have had 11 consecutive. But yeah, I mean, Nico, what do you think? Today's pitchers, 8 years of 200. I don't know if we're going to have anybody like that.
The only one that I can think of is someone like deGrom to do something like that. And, I look forward to him coming back and doing it. I mean, that's a great goal for him to achieve. I mean, I would love to see him do it. He can do it.
He didn't pitch enough innings. I know that. I'm looking it up. To have a lot of 200 strikeout years. He had 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, he's only had 4. So he would have to do 4 more. He's 35. He's not going to do it. Okay. I can tell you right now, he's not going to do it. Yeah, so it's one of those things. It's like the game has changed, so we're probably not going to see that. Here's another interesting thing from sport. Go ahead.
I'll just say this: Garrett Cole has 6, so
he's got a chance.
He's got a chance. He's not going to have a complete year this year.
Yeah, he won't do it this year.
And if he has to have Tommy John, that probably ends it.
Right.
But if he doesn't, then he's 34, but he is a strikeout pitcher, so
he's got a chance.
He's got a chance.
Okay, so I'm looking at the opening day payrolls for all the teams. Yankees are number 1, then the Phillies, then the Mets, Toronto, Atlanta, Dodgers, Houston, Chicago Cubs, Giants, Texas Rangers, Angels, St. Louis, San Diego. So that's like about half the league. So imagine this, that, well, it's a little bit, it's not quite half the league. Imagine Boston is only at 126 million. Like, what's wrong with them?
The game has changed. Look at Scott Boras couldn't get any long-term contracts signed now.
Sure.
It's almost like
but
the
they
game
make
is
money in
dead.
Boston, Nico. They make a lot of money.
Well, they're in a lot of debt as well.
Yeah, but they have a lot of revenue.
Yeah, but they're in a rebuilding situation. I mean, they traded Sale. They got rid of JD Martinez. They traded Betts. They lost Bogarts in free agency. I mean, they didn't even, they traded Alex Verdugo for salary cap and salary restriction or reasons. So they're clearly in a sort of reset situation right now.
Yeah.
And
So there's 11 teams under 100 million. Arizona just makes it over with 101. I think that's disgusting. I really do. Like, I hate the whole luxury tax system, but the fact that there's that many teams under, I mean, the Oakland A's are spending 43 million, and you could see it. So that's one thing. The Pirates, okay, they started off hot, but they're not going to do much. Miami's 0-7. You get what you pay for. Cleveland, sure, they're going to have a decent record. Tampa is Tampa. Some years they're competitive. Washington's not at 79. Milwaukee's probably not going to be at 82. Baltimore, sure, because they have a lot of young players, so they've been able to maneuver this. Cincy at 86, they'll come up short. Detroit at 95. KC at 97. Like, all these teams, and really KC at 97 has to do with signing Bobby Witt Jr. probably. Otherwise,
no, they did sign. Remember, they signed 2 or 3 free agents, but they signed them with 1-year walkaways. Or
that's right, yeah.
So that's sort of an inflated figure. But I mean, it's a luxury tax system, but there is no cap floor.
There should be a cap floor.
Right.
There really should be.
But if you put in a cap floor, then they're going to ask for a cap ceiling, and the big market teams like the Yankees and the Mets are not going to agree to that. Now, did you say the Dodgers in that list of teams? Because
Dodgers are at 192.
Because I wonder if that factors in the deferred money with Ohtani.
It does.
Oh, okay.
Houston at 191, Cubs 180, San Fran 150. I didn't say Toronto, but they're at 204. They're fourth. So Texas 148, Angels 147. Then we're back to the other teams. The interesting thing is, Anna's surprised. No, I mean, I'm just surprised. There's 4 over 200, and then you got the other, like the next 4 are big hitters, and then you got nothing. Like, there's a lot of teams. Like, even Colorado is spending 105, and I don't know on what. They're brutal.
Yeah, I don't know on what either, and because they've been a bad franchise for 4 or 5 years. They haven't done any winning, and they're not. There's not a lot of good players there. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know if you could say that the system is broken.
It's close. It's really close.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point now where, I mean, I had to say the Steve Cohen thing last year with spending the money on Verlander, spending the money on Scherzer, and then basically when it was not working, spending the money to get rid of them.
Right.
There probably is no other franchise, because the Yankees aren't willing to spend the money to get rid of Stanton.
No.
So that was the luxury that Cohen had, and maybe the Dodgers would do that if somebody failed badly. But even the top teams, they can't throw tons of money away. And I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I just know that that there will never be a salary cap in Major League Baseball. The union doesn't want it, and the big market teams don't want it. And since there's that marriage there, it's never going to change.
Well, just to show you though, how even spending money to get these prospects like the Mets did, and then then everybody's like, well, look, the Mets are like 15th on the list. Well, yeah, maybe there's just a lot of potential there, though. So Drew Gilbert was one of those top guys, right? And so they get him, and right now to start off the year, he is 1 for 13. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's 23 years old. So is he going to make the Mets by 24 or 25? Maybe. Acuna is another one. Angel Acuna, or Angel, Luis Angel. That's it. Again, they made sure they got him in a deal, right? And he's not started off well. He's also 2 for 13 with a homer. Like, again, you can't necessarily buy prospects. This isn't really the sport to do it because you bought guys that were 22, 23. Yes, they're a little further along, but like Nikco, when the Mets did that, what did you think? I mean, I know the hope was, hey, these guys look pretty good, and maybe by the end of this year they're in the lineup, but like I said, they haven't started off well.
You know what? The Mets have a big problem, and it starts really with your farm system.
Yeah.
You have to build from within, and it starts with scouting, all right, in the draft, all right? You start drafting your own great players from within, you develop them, and you bring them to the big leagues along with some veterans that you can select that will help your team out and win a championship. So they've got a long way to go. And the things that they've done so far, they just keep making mistake after mistake. When you have your DH hitting ninth on the team, you've got some challenges, especially when your leadoff hitter is struggling to even just get on base.
Yeah, but that's a great point.
But the situation with the Mets was, yes, maybe they sold that as, well, we got rid of these older pitchers and we paid to get top-end prospects. They're not top-end prospects, but if you had kept Scherzer and kept Verlander, that would have crippled you for a couple of years because they were slipping to the point that they weren't dominant starters anymore. So you essentially paid to get another team to take half of the cap or whatever the amount of, I think it was half with Scherzer, and with Verlander, I think it was less than a half. But get them off of your books because you weren't in a position to be a contending team last year, even with them. So now you've cleared them off your books, most of it, and now you're resetting. But the thing is, I think they were disingenuous with their fan base, like you were saying, and saying that they were going to be competitive. They're not going to be competitive. You should have been. You should have done what the New York Rangers did and send a letter to your fan base and say, we're going to rebuild.
Yep.
And I think they would have accepted it. But now they're pissed off and they're carrying flaming torches when it comes to Citi Field.
Yeah, they got their first win, and there was like 12 fans at the ballpark. I think someone said like 88 they counted or something. It wasn't good. The Marlins are 0-8. Any thoughts about that, Nikco?
You know what? The Marlins are in the same boat. They just don't have enough pitching. They're going to get hurt night in and
they have had some injuries, no question.
Yeah, they've got one of the greatest hitters in the world. But again, they're one of those teams that want to squeeze the budget and get the most out of your talent day in and day out. And that formula is just not going to work. Like I said, Boston, they play so hard, but squeezing that payroll, all these teams squeezing that payroll is never going to have a chance to win anything.
So one of the greatest hitters in the world, do you mean Jake Berger? Is that who you mean?
No,
I like Jake. He hit 2 homers the other day. He's a good guy.
He's a great hitter. He means Luis Arise because But no, Russ, I know the reason why they're 0-8 because Derek Jeter's no longer in the organization.
I think Kim Ng is probably a bigger reason when she left. Yeah, I'll say that. Okay, so I thought for fun, we're not going to pick all the divisions and everything else. We're just going to pick the World Series. Who is in the World Series? Who's going to win? Nico, you go first.
Dodgers. They better.
Over
They
who?
have to. Otani's got too much on the line, uh,
Yeah.
in a gambling sense.
Right. So who are they beating?
Who are they going to beat? They're going to beat. That's a great question. I'm going to say the Cleveland Guardians.
Okay. So Dodgers over the Guardians. All right, Mike.
Well, I'm going to pick a repeat of the 77, 78, and 81 World Series, and it's going to be Yankees, Dodgers, and I'll pick the Yankees. And then Juan Soto will leave for the Mets to get $80 million a year.
He's not going to leave for the Mets. He's going to stay with the Yankees. You know it, and I know it. He's not picking the Mets over the Yankees. Wasn't that didn't the Yankees get swept in that one?
In which?
The Dodgers Yankees one from
No, the Yankees won both in 77 and 78. I think it went 5 or 6 in 81. Yeah,
okay,
in 81. I think it was
6. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a sweep. I know that.
Wasn't a sweep. Okay, but it was pretty bad. So you're looking for revenge. Okay. I am going to go for now that I'm a couple games in, I'm going to go with the Orioles and Braves. I was thinking it could be Orioles and Phillies. I'm going to go Orioles and Braves, and I'm going to say Orioles will win. And I think for a few reasons. I think with the passing of the senior Angelos, I think that sort of clears the air for them like it did for the Chicago Blackhawks back in the day, just a different regime. I think they got all these players back that are playing. They got Corbin Burns there. They're loaded at so many positions. And I just think they're going to have a big year. It's been a long time. I think it would be kind of amazing if the Orioles won. Although I got to tell you, I grew up hating them because the 69 series and everything else. And then they were good after that.
The Mets won.
I know, but as it was going on, I didn't like the Orioles. I liked Brooks Robinson. Don't get me wrong. I thought he was amazing.
You were 3 years old.
6.
Don't forget
6
about
years
Jim
old.
Palmer.
I was watching baseball. Trust me.
Legendary Jim Palmer.
Yes, I like Jim Palmer too. I'll be honest. I like Jim Palmer. I don't mind Boog Powell, and I like Brooks Robinson, but I hated the rest of them. So, that's.
I like that hitting star Mark Belanger.
Mark Belanger. Oh, Nico's got a whole history with Mark Belanger. He used to be in the Players Association.
Yeah, I could just say this about him. What a fiery man he was.
Yeah.
And a great life he lived in the game.
But he was influential with you, right, Nico? I mean,
you
wrote about it. Yeah.
You got to get the book, Strike 3, A Player's Journey through that infamous baseball strike of 1994. It's the 30th year anniversary.
It's hard to believe. All right, that's it. That's it for the game. We'll catch everybody next time.
My